Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
This is home. It's home. But no one's home. There's never been anyone home. It's just home already complete. You can call it freedom, but it's unconditional. Call it liberation, but for no one. Peacefulness, stillness are just words trying to describe what's already obvious. That nothing is missing, that nothing is needed. There's never been anyone. It's just this unconditional freedom, but for no one. So since this is home already, since this is already free, and there's nothing missing, this is actually really pointless, what I'm talking about. It's already complete. It's meaningless. There's no purpose to it. There's no agenda here. In its completeness and its fullness, everything is allowed, including the idea that I don't feel home. I don't feel freedom. It's unconditional. In this unconditional freedom, everything that arises, anything at all, is not excluded. Everything that is looked for is already appearing as everything. That's why it seems hidden. It's appearing as this and this and this and this, and even not this. Since nothing is an offer here, and nothing will be known, it can be expressed that this is an unknowing. This is not about getting something. It's about the loss. The loss of hope. The loss of meaning. The loss of knowing. It's the absence of everything. It's nothing appearing as everything simultaneously, without any separation, without any meaning, and completely hopeless. So what seems to be happening here is there's this expression that is expressing the obviousness that it's already freedom, that there's nothing to know or nothing to get or nothing to attain. But there's this energy that wants to ask on how to get there. How do I attain this? What's being expressed is that there's nothing to attain, nothing to get, because there's never been anyone. So whatever seems to be appearing is already perfect. It's already whole and complete. Whole and complete can be chaotic, can be like anarchy, wild, and free, but for no one. There seems to be a happening that's also an unhappening simultaneously. It seems to be unreal, and the unreal appearing as the same, without any separation. There's no such thing as truth. There are no lies as well. There's no good or bad. These are just all ideas seemingly appearing from nothing.
Oh, you meant.
And all the voices that's appearing are coming from nothing as well. So this is it. This is home already. And nothing is lacking. It's already complete. It's already full. Nothing has ever been missing. Nothing was hidden. This is liberation, but for no one, this is unconditional freedom. Or you can call it the unconditional wow. But no one's ever wowed. It's just wowing itself through infinity. even if infinity is just an idea. So all of these are just ideas trying to express, trying to suggest that nothing has gone missing and this is already full. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Oh, there's Ollie. Ollie, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Emerson.
Hi, Ollie.
Can you talk about when you say blind to itself? What do you what it's?
I didn't say that, but I agree with it.
Well,
It doesn't see its own absence. It doesn't see anything because it's already complete. It doesn't see separation. It's already full and complete. It's already completeness.
okay, because there's no positioning
There's no positioning, yeah.
to see. Yeah,
There's no
there's
here
no
and there.
two.
There's no inner or outer. It's just fullness. It's just singularity or whatever word you might want to call it.
Yeah.
Wholeness.
In the interview that you had with Jim, you talk. Well, you talked about the difference between teachers and this message,
Yeah.
and I was wondering. I know it's not you that said it, but Jim said that there was no doubt when the me as I know there's no, well, I don't know, there's no me, but when the me fall
Mm. When the me apparently falls.
apparently falls.
Yeah.
So he says there's no doubt,
Yeah.
but how can that be no doubt if it's unknown?
It's the obviousness of it. There's no knower anymore. It's all unknowing. So there's this obviousness that there's never been, kind of like, when they say it's once it's seen, it can never be unseen.
Oh yeah,
So it's
yeah.
seen that there's this absence, that there's never been anyone here. Since that there's never been anyone here, it's just this seeing with no seer and no seen, blind to itself.
Blind to itself.
Yeah, there's just this obviousness. This obviousness. It's not a knowing.
Okay.
It's the opposite of that, or not even the opposite. It can't be said really. It's the unknowing and the unknowing. It's seen that
Okay.
nothing is happening, seen that there's never been anyone here, but it's completely undeniable. It's
Yeah.
completely it's really obvious that once it's seen, it's like, wow, it's always been this way. What? And then it's almost disappointing because there's some people have heard about all of these stories about angels and trumpets
No.
and none of that, unfortunately.
Yes.
but, but there's this seeing that everything that you've been looking for is nothing has been missing. It's always been this way. It's already appearing as everything. As I said, it's already complete. That it's already liberation. It's already freedom. And it's
Yeah.
that, wow. And then it's so ordinary. It's also kind of like, oh, kind of like a disappointed wow. That's it. But there's this undeniable wow,
Yeah.
and there's this apparent shift, but it didn't happen to anyone. It's like the veil of the me fell away completely. It's just seeing that there's never been a me there. It's like and I think Jim says this too. It's like the Santa Claus thing. It's kind of like when you realize that there's never really been Santa Claus. It's been mom and dad. You don't believe again in Santa Claus because it's seen.
Yeah.
Um,
You
and
don't
uh,
come back.
and then you don't really focus on being good or bad anymore, or that someone's always watching you. It's just seen. It's just seen. It's the ordinariness and the extraordinariness of that ordinariness. It doesn't make
Mm,
sense, and it makes sense, but for no one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody's experiencing like the simplicity of just walking, dancing, eating, talking.
There's
Nobody's
never
experiencing anything.
nobody's actually really been experiencing. Experience is just the word that kind of like supports that there's an experiencer. So
Okay.
everything is just appearing as dancing, talking. So
There's
experience
just
is just what's
appearing.
happening. Yeah, again, it's the appearing and the disappearance apparently happening at the same time, but for no one. So there's experiencing tends to kind of like say that there's a time or something. But yeah, it's just what's
Okay.
happening. It's just what's
Okay.
happening. It's simple as that.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Emerson.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, how you doing,
I'm
Emerson?
good. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. Appreciate it. Could you talk about what seems to be at least some relationship, although as I understand it, not a causal relationship, but at least there seems to be some relationship between those who have been seekers, traditional seekers, and then ultimately there seems to be this apparent dropping away of the seeking ends, and there's a dropping away of the apparent me. But but at least apparently temporally after the seeking, it doesn't seem to be so much, at least not that I'm seeing in watching these non-dual videos. I mean, all those who I'm seeing have had some, at least I think, have had some history of seeking. So there does seem to be some correlation, although not causal, maybe. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. I've actually been talking to a lot of apparent stories about people falling away, although no one has ever fallen away because there's never been anyone. So
Right.
all of this is a story, seemingly that there's a seeker, looking for something, and then and caused has a sudden falling away of the sense of that I am real. So it's just a seeing. So no one really falls, no one really disappears, no one really dies because no one was really born. No one really appeared as well. So it's just seeing that all of this appearance of something that is a felt sense of reality, that I am real, that I'm moving through time and space, that I have all of this history and future and all that kind of stuff, is seen as a narrative, is seen as the unreal appearing as real, apparently, simultaneously. So in these stories of seeking, somebody asked me that somebody has been seeking for 20 years, 30 years, but there's no such thing as time as well. So seeking seems to be kind of like a beginning and an end. There's no beginning and end. So nothing really happens. So all of these stories that's appearing apparently right now, although there's no now, are just stories about something that never really happened. So all of those seeking stories of the people falling away is just the seeing that there's never been anyone here. And as I said before, when that seeing is seen by no one, the House of Cards evolution of I am real, there's time and space, I have free will, consciousness, I am that, all of that kind of like dream stuff drops away completely.
It is I know I'm not going to say this right,
Yep.
but is the seeing, does the seeing, but like,
It's just a seeing without anyone behind that.
right.
Yeah.
So, but what about those who have not been seeking for years? Does that seeing happen
Yeah,
to
apparently,
those
seeing
not the parent people?
yeah, I have a
There
funny
seems to be
story that I
some,
share
yeah.
quite a lot. I was I had a friend that I haven't seen for quite a while, maybe about 10 years, and we went out for a couple of beers. And he was just really curious. He's never really known anything about non-duality or anything. And this is just a story again, this is just a story. So we were kind of like talking. He goes, "What have you been up to?" And I'm like, "Well, non-duality." He goes, "I'm like, you don't really want to hear about it." He goes, "I'm really curious." So we're talking for a couple of hours, maybe a couple of pints, beers of later. I'm just expressing, non-duality to a friend. You know what I'm saying? Without any intention, without nothing at all, no agenda. He went to the washroom and came back, and he said, "I just threw up. There's never been anyone here. So it's not caused by anything.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
there's no one here, I didn't cause it. It didn't happen to anyone. It's just an appearance of a seeing that there's never been anyone here. It's just really simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So there's a story that there's a cause and effect, but that story is also seen as a story. So the cause and effect is null and void because nothing happens. It's just seemingly happening to someone. So there's nothing outside of this. Even the idea of someone fell away or the past or 2 minutes ago or a second ago is just an idea. It doesn't exist. So everything that's appearing is this unconditional freedom. And even the ideas of someone falling away or cause and effect or time and space is allowed. It's not excluded. Because that's what freedom is without the me personalizing it. So there's no one that can ever fall away because there's never been anyone here. But there's this freedom that doesn't need a me or the idea of a me to be seen as completely free. It's not available to anyone because it's already complete. It's not lacking in anything.
And the seeing or the apparent seeing, it happens or doesn't happen or doesn't matter.
It's just it doesn't really matter. It's just a seeing. It's like I'll explain to you. It's kind of like it's like you've been wearing a veil of me. Once the veil is lifted, then you're seeing that me that thinks it's real is gone.
Oh.
It's kind of like I call it the blinders are off, right? There's this character that's playing a character completely and fully, and then it's seen that it was just a character, and there's this laughter, kind of like, oh wow. It's not taken seriously anymore.
And the blinders, there's no causation. They come off or they don't come off. Nothing to be done about it.
They don't even come off. Really, it's just
they apparently come off. They don't actually come off.
Yeah, it's just seen. It's just the seeing. You don't even. I also describe it as like carrying a backpack of heavy rocks that you've been carrying that you think is a part of you, and then one day you don't even know when that backpack never really existed. That's full of rocks. So the heaviness is gone. So there's just this relaxation that there's never been a backpack called a me, a time, a free will, a cause and effect. It's just seen as a dream, an illusion, something that never really happened. So when it's seen that the me is an illusion or a dream or unreal, then even the idea of the veil or it's not there because there's no veil to this really. It's just really clear. It's just really clear already that there's never been a me. The idea of the me is the veil. But once it's seen that there's no me, the veil is not even a veil. It's just kind of like a little bit of kind of like a dust in the eyes or something. It's really simple. It's already this. It's this already. It's already completely free. And it's in complete freedom. There's never been anyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have... Oh, it's William.
Hi,
William.
Emerson.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks. You?
Yeah. What's
Nice.
up, dude?
I just wanted to talk to you because listening to you is great, but it feels like the resonance is quite a bit stronger when I'm actually talking to you.
I always say this, it's just the good looks. It's not really what I'm saying. It's just the good looks. And, you know, you can actually turn off the volume completely and it's still the good looks.
And the modesty.
And the extreme modesty. There's really nothing on offer. So anything that I say is really, you know, except the good looks. You know, the good looks is always shining through, you know. I'm just kidding.
Well, the thing is, obviously, when I put my hand up and I knew I wanted to talk to you, there's that sense of I'm choosing to do this because I want to get something. what would you say is the brain just makes a decision? Talk to Emerson.
There's no brain, really. There's no one making a decision. It's just what's appearing. All of this is just appearing simultaneously, seemingly coming from a brain, but that's just a story as well. So this is just an appearance, simultaneously appearing, seeming like a time, like there was a decision maker or a time, prior to it. But there's no time prior, because that all that there is this, and there's never been anything outside of this. Simple. Clear. Obvious.
To be honest, as you say that, I'm thinking to myself, just there's nothing to come back with, because that is it. So concise, but something wants to keep going on about, I don't know.
And
but
that's also what's cool about this, is because that's what seems to be wanting to go on and try to find, to want to hit the wall all over again. Is also it. That's also freedom appearing as wanting to go somewhere, but it has nowhere to go. This is unconditional freedom cornering that it has nowhere to go, because it's already free. It's already exposed as already completely free, including the wanting to go somewhere else. So the seeing that this is complete freedom, this is whole and complete, is here already. And that includes shaking the head, nodding the head, confusing, laughing. Everything is included. Since this is free already, unconditional free, like completely free, then everything is buck wild and archaic, not archaic, anarchy and wild and free, including the wanting not to be free. That's all. Even not wanting to be free or trying to look for freedom, even if it's being expressed in its obviousness, is also free.
it's funny also when you just commented about shaking the head and then nodding the head, because I've realized whenever I'm listening to speakers on Zoom, I'm always nodding my head, then shaking my head, because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, of course. And then at the same time, it's like, no, it can't be. It can't be. And it's like, yeah, it is. And no, it can't. It's just constantly back and forth between the two.
That's how free this is.
Emerson, I think it's a bit more than the good looks in it, mate. Thanks.
Welcome. You're like, thanks for nothing, Emerson. There's a question here. Hi, Emerson and everybody. There is the illusion of this, but it doesn't exist in reality. It's all in your mind. The answer to that is that even your idea of a mind is also an illusion. So everything that an illusion can think of is also an illusion, including thoughts, the mind. The thinker and the thoughts are the same. They're both illusory. All of these ideas are illusory. It's the no thing appearing as this or that, or surreal, unreal, thoughts, mind, but none of it is completely real. Patricia.
Hi, Emerson.
Oh, hello. How are you? Hi.
I'm doing well.
Are you in Canada?
I
No, you're
am
in the States.
Yeah, I'm really
Okay.
close to the Canadian border
Oh, that's right.
on
Yeah.
the West Coast. Yeah. So when you spoke earlier about the idea of the backpack, the self being a backpack being taken off, it brought up for me, it reminded me of something that, I'll call it a glimpse now, but I wouldn't call it that. And that was 30 years ago. And I distinctly remember it as if it was a minute ago.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the car at the corner of Lakeway and Lincoln. And that's how, and all of a sudden it felt like a backpack was lifted off and like I was going to float up through the car. There was nothing holding, there was no sense of it. And I've never been able to find cause and effect.
Yeah.
Make sense of it. Nothing. And then of course it happened. It lasted a little bit. There's been a couple since then, but but then I was drawn to this message, and it, now that quote unquote experience, all of a sudden it was like, ah. So and it's okay. It's, you know, there's still a seeker here, and I'm showing up. But it was just really interesting that appeared, and the idea that it wasn't even in time and space.
No, no, it doesn't. Nothing happens really in time and space. There's just this idea. Again, once it's seen that the one that's having the idea is the culprit, is the veil, is the dream, is the dreamer. Although no one has ever been dreaming, and no one really needs to wake up, it's just the seeing that the seemingly culprit of all of these ideas of, you know, I'm not free, is the whole thing, is the whole illusion. Once that's seen, once that kind of like that card is taken, it completely disintegrates everything. Everything that's believed, everything that's known, everything. And it's just seen that nothing is happening. And there's this sense of, you know, relaxation. Kind of like the glimpse. This is actually this already.
Hmm.
I don't even know what you're talking about the past because that didn't really happen. This is already free. There's never been any backpack to carry. It's always lightness.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Appreciate it so much. But it was just all of a sudden popped in. I thought, oh wow, that,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway,
The
thanks.
liberation is not an idea that pops in. It's the nature. But since there's an idea of what liberation is or what freedom is, that obscures the seeing that's already everything that's appearing, including, you know, apparent stress or tiredness, is also liberation. It's also unconditional freedom. There's this, you know, chooser. Although there's no choosing, there's an idea that someone can choose between this or that. But since there's no this or that, there's no inner or outside. It's just this. It's already complete. There's a question here from YouTube. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's the most helpful part of it is it's all it.
It's all it,
all of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's all it.
So,
I'm speaking to several people that had an apparent falling away, and it varies from although that's just a story, no one fell away. It varies from, wow, this is so, you know, extraordinary, wow, crying and laughing, to kind of like, oh, it's really no big deal.
all right. Thank
It's
you
like
so
really
much.
not a big deal. It's like, yeah, it's again, it's like that backpack that you think you've been carrying for a long time, and it just seemingly disappeared. All of the rocks that you carry, you know, people carry, you know, imaginary rocks about, you know, there being a time like the past, or an imaginary rock about the future, worrying about something that has not happened, that will never happen, worrying about the self. How do I get liberated? So all of these imaginary rocks are spotlighted, and they're like, what backpack? What rocks? Vera goes, yep, freedom here. Freedom everywhere. There's nothing that's excluded. Edamar goes, is it common to not even remember when this experience of me stops apparently happening? For this be so uneventful? In the character, it's seemingly, you know, seemingly in this, it's just an appearance, but the seeing is unforgettable. It's once it's seen, it can never be unseen. But it's so, for someone that's not seeking, someone that doesn't have no idea what non-duality about, this is just a natural state. It's just the seeing that there's never been anyone here. It's not going to go into, you know, speaker mode and start speaking about whatever. I have a friend that we just talk about the trees and walking around and just giggling really about nothing and everything. And it's just very ordinary. We don't even talk about non-duality whatsoever. It's just ordinary. It's just the natural state. It's the natural state is just freedom. And this is already free. There's a question here. Who am I, Emerson? There's no who, there's no I. There's no one asking questions, it's just an appearance of these words seemingly trying to point at something that always leads to nothing. Bertrand,
Hi.
where's your halo light?
I don't have it to. Unfortunately, I'm not enlightened, so I can't chat.
Man.
Right. What was it? What was that? I think someone said a while back. I think you were commenting on the question: the thinker and the thought are both illusory.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There seems to be this appearance that I am real,
yeah,
that I am doing things, that I
Yeah.
have to get somewhere.
yeah,
The appearance is so real, so it seems like it's the unreal and real appearing together. There's this felt sense of realness. But when it's seen that there's never been anyone, everything that you could think of, everything that, then there's this seeing that the one that's thinking all of these thoughts is also illusory. It's also unreal. So everything that you could think of, including this is freedom and this is not freedom, are both coming as, it's kind of like when someone is dreaming at night. This is just another story.
Mhm.
Everything that you can think of in a dream is not real when you wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you wake up.
But no one wakes up really because no one went to sleep. So this is awakeness, basically. This is awakeness and seeing that no one has ever slept and no one has ever woken up. Because it's just all aliveness, awakeness, wholeness, completeness. So any idea that comes about how to get it, it all is also aliveness. It's all included. Nothing is excluded.
Okay.
Including
Yeah.
okay, whatever. That's also included.
All right.
All right.
Where's your light?
What's up, my light? I ordered it. It has not come yet. I'm not quite there yet. Sorry, Bertrand.
Oh, damn.
It would be a Super Saiyan kind of like light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. All right. Thank you.
Dario. Hey, Dario.
Hi, Emerson.
How are you?
So that was actually my question. Like, why is there so much suffering and seeking? Like, it sucks.
See, that's the appearance. That we try to kind of like for freedom to be freedom, it's personalized as there's no seeking, as there's no suffering. When it's unconditional freedom, apparent seeking, apparent suffering also appears. It's not excluded. So we have this idea of what liberation should be, on how to get there and how can I achieve this, freedom. But what's not seen is that if this is already complete, apparent tiredness, suffering, it's just seen. It's not even seen as a suffering anymore. It's just this apparent happenings that doesn't really have a name. It's just the
But
nameless
the
appearing
suffering from
as. Yeah, it's
the suffering from the
nameless.
apparent me is not there then.
What's that?
Like the suffering from the seeking is not there then.
I don't really know what suffering from seeking is. It's just an appearance to me now. It's just a story now, right? It's not seen as something that is really relevant. So suffering seems to happen, but it's not happening to anyone. Maybe that's a really wrong answer. I don't know. But seeking is just a happening, and suffering is just a happening. If, for example, if the body is suffering and it needs some massage or some medical help, the body goes, help for that suffering or whatever. This has nothing to do with alleviating suffering or pain. If I cut my fingers, I'll be putting a bandage on it. It's also what's happening. That's also freedom. The suffering seems to be a story put on a happening and personalizing it. That, for example, I have this this what do you call it, cut on my finger, but since it's just a happening, I'm not going to do anything about it. I just want some liberation or some enlightenment. Then that finger is going to get infected and will keep on hurting. This is the seeing that everything is allowed, including acknowledging that that pain or whatever is happening maybe needs some attention. But I know what you're saying, the heaviness of the seeking of suffering seeming to go over and over again because it's seen that I am suffering, that I am doing things, that I can undo this suffering, that I have a purpose, I have a path of, getting rid of this suffering. But when it's seen that all of this is just an appearance happening for no one, it's just an appearance, it's seen as just a happening. It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense at all.
No, I know. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't do anything. Like it
Doesn't do
offer
anything. Yet again, this communication is completely pointless because if I had something to offer that can alleviate your suffering, I would have done it by now. But I'm being
of
completely
course,
honest here that there's no one to help you because there's no you there.
Yeah.
People think that I'm holding back something, but I can't hold back something because I have nothing. And you have
there's
nothing
no
too.
one.
And there's no one.
But that doesn't
But
help me.
in seeing that I have nothing and there's no one, there's nothing needed. Ha! In seeing that there's no one there and there's nothing here, so there's no exchange in alleviating your suffering, taking away your suffering, it means it's already free. It's already fully free.
Oh, this is, I don't know. Thank you, Emerson.
Do call me. Message me, Dario, if you want to explore it more.
Take care.
We'll talk on a longer, chat. Hey, Dennis.
Hi, Emerson.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing real fine, thank you. In the unconditional freedom where any appearance can happen, it appears that the happening is in a constant state of flux.
Apparently.
That there's this, then there's that, then there's that,
Apparently,
constant state of flux. That certainly implies time to me.
Yeah, that's an appearance. See, there's the appearing and the disappearance, seemingly happening, but it's not really happening. It's like the unhappening, simultaneously happening. It's not really happening, but seems to be happening. But since there's a sense of time and space and a me that moves through time and space, everything seems to have a cause and effect. See, that's the illusion. That there's a me that is seeing all of this time and space, because that's the illusion that cannot be dispelled. It's a perfect illusion. That I am real, that this is happening to me, that there's a before and after. I drank coffee earlier and I'm going to pee now. That's a cause and effect. But that's the illusion. There's actually no time, really.
Would it be fair to say then that all of the appearance and disappearances that have ever happened, if assuming time, which is not time, but everything is taking place in no time, no space? It's sort of like at the point of the Big Bang, it's all just a singularity that's all just constantly is a bad word, but it's all in no place and no time.
Or we can just simplify that all that there is this.
Yeah, that's better. It defines it better for me. Okay,
or we can
thank
also
you.
Make it really smaller and say that nothing is happening.
Yeah, it's bigger.
Yeah. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
I have a question here. I think Jim has been asking this question. Emerson, why is it more valid or correct to suggest that separation is completely unreal, as opposed to suggesting that separation is like trees or rocks, i.e. both real and unreal or apparent? Separation is unreal because the one that's perceiving the separation is unreal. So everything that it perceives, including trees, rocks, body, others, day, night, yesterday, tomorrow, is also unreal. You can also say that it's all appearing as both real and unreal, apparently, but to no one. William.
Hi, Emerson. So
Hi.
there's not, so there's not one thing that's better than another thing.
What's that? Repeat that again.
So there's not one thing that's better than another thing.
There's no other things. There's not even a one thing. This is just this wholeness. There's no others. There's just this completeness. It's just completely full. So there's nothing to compare. There's no separate objects. There's no separate me's. There's no separate you and I. All of these are just appearances coming out as ideas. In this felt sense reality that you and I are separate. That there are others. So no one thing is better than the other. This is the scene that everything is equally real and unreal, appearing as this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think seeking is one thing and liberation is something else that I don't experience.
What's that? Repeat that again.
I think seeking is one thing
Mm-hmm.
and liberation is something else that I don't experience and don't know. And you're in liberation and I'm in seeking.
Oh.
So, do you know what I mean?
There's no one here. There's no one here. Again, if there was someone here to give you something, William, you think that I would have not. I'm a generous. This is the generous character. I would have offered it to you. But there's no one to offer it to. There's this just radical honesty here that there's nothing that I can give you because there's no one here and there's no one there. And everything that you're looking for is already here. It's already free. It's already complete. It's already appearing as this madness, anarchy, wildness called unconditional love. Or not even called that. It's unnameable. But what we call as unconditional love or unconditional freedom. So you're trying to put conditions into what I'm being expressed here by grabbing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Boom.
To be honest, I know you wouldn't call this, well, I don't know what you'd call this, but I'm assuming you wouldn't call this the truth, what's being said. But what you referred to as the radical honesty, I think
it's just a story.
Yeah.
It's just this expression. That. There's this expression of if there was something to give you, it would have been given already, but there's no one to give it to. It kept on getting a return to sender saying that there's no one at the address. I'm just joking.
Thank you.
All right. I'm just joking. There's no one sent it to. No one can send anything that can't be sent because it's already this completely. Yeah? Completely, fully, wholly, nothing missing. Okay, there's a question here from Conrad. Hi, Conrad. You know what? I'm such a bad host and think I'm forgetting about the other YouTube. So sorry if I'm not reading the other YouTube one. Hello. Is there the impression of making decisions after liberation, regardless of seeing that there is no one Is there the impression of making decisions after liberation, regardless of seeing that there's no one to make them? Or there is just absolutely seeing that everything simply happens? So no one sees anything. It's just a seeing that everything is happening for no reason to no one, fully and completely free. So it's just a happening. It's the seeing that there's never been anyone, and that's just what's happening. It's nothing special. It's not some magical powers. It's not an attainment. It's just the naturalness of seeing that this is already complete. Question here. Emerson is good looking because he had the glasses of Harry Potter. That's right. There's Jason. Sorry, I'm just going to read silly message. Thank you so much for that comment. Jason.
Hi, Emerson.
Hi.
Well, so speaking is futile, but I'm going to do it anyway. So there's nothing to seek, like
No.
really, ultimately,
No.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the thing earlier, the conversation about suffering and seeking and how they're kind of like together. It's like, because it's not apparently, it's not just seeking energy, it's the personalization of it, right?
Yeah.
It's the, if there was just seeking energy without the person, it'd be like, no, there wouldn't be the suffering, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
looking for something it's looking for a different experience. It's looking for a different seeing. It's not
Yeah.
liking what freedom is. So it's looking for a different version of freedom. So freedom
Yeah.
is complete. That's why it's freedom. It's everything is allowed. Unconditional freedom. It's not personalized. So what seems to be happening when they're seeking is it's personalizing what freedom is already with the preference. It's getting romanticized. It's something that, you know what, if my seeking is ended, then my suffering will disappear, and then I will gain awakening, and everything that I've wanted in my imaginary version of what freedom is going to be fulfilled. It could be,
Right.
it could be, and then people have an idea of what peacefulness is. So they keep on creating these imaginary states of something that doesn't really have any states. I was asked a question. Someone wrote me a letter. What level of whatever are you? And I'm like, there are no levels in this because there's no one. There's no one. So there's no level one, there's no level whatever. So again, that's personalizing what freedom is. It's like a ladder, right? The ladder, there's no ladder. So there's no higher, there's no lower, there's no better, there's no worse. There's no enlightened and unenlightened. It's all a story. It's the equalizer. It's the equalizing, seeing that there's never been anyone here. And what seems to be appearing is the idea that I am seeking for something to liberate me and free myself so that I'll be a no one. So one day I can realize that there's no one here. There's nothing to realize because it's being already, and by comparing it to others. So here I am, not liberated, and you are liberated. But let me make this clear. I'm not talking to anyone, and you're not also talking to anyone. So there are no others. There's never been anyone. It's just a smiling happening, and there's no separation from this smiling to whatever. It's complete. All right. Joey. Hey, Joey.
Hey, sir, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. I just had this thought that basically, as long as this apparent sense of the person exists, anything that is done, it'll be done with waiting, with hoping. Doesn't matter whether it's official seeking in terms of spiritual or non-dual, or it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's going out on a Saturday night and getting wasted, or whatever it is, it just, because that energy is there, and that attachment is constantly there.
Yeah, because there's this energy that I need to fulfill something that's missing.
Yeah.
When it's seen that it's already whole and complete, that seeking energy is relaxed, and everything is just happening. So Friday night going out drinking is just Friday night going drinking. It's not seeking for anything.
Yeah.
It's just what's happening. It's the same thing with spirituality, you know, going to online Zooms. That energy is relaxed. There's nothing
Yeah.
to get, and it's just seen that it's just what's happening. So there's just this almost like a really thin veil of this wanting and desire to get something. But when that's seen, that the one that's wanting to get and desire something is completely seen as unreal, then that collapses. So there's a
Yeah.
relaxation. There's kind of like, oh man, all that seeking.
What was
you know
all
what
the
I'm
fuss
saying?
about?
What was all the fuss about? And there's no more kind of like should have, could have, I would have done that. Oh man, I should have done this. That's just seen as a narrative. So
Yeah.
all that really pent up energy in getting something is almost like giving the disappointment, you know, bath of kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, it's always been this. Nothing's
It's
been
like
lacking.
it's like the person is always fighting emptiness.
But it's always emptiness. So
Yeah, I
there's
know.
always
Yeah.
it's always emptiness, but it's looking for a version of emptiness that it prefers, right?
Yeah.
It wants this personalized, you know, kind of like engraved kind of like idea of what it wants. But the one that wants it is the one that is actually the apparent obstacle. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong or right about that, but it's just the shade, you know, when you're wearing shades, when you take it off, it's just like, oh shit, it's always been sunny.
It's like standing in the middle of a river trying to stop it.
That's right. That's right. There's nothing that can be done. There's nothing,
And
and,
the
and
other
it's looking
Go
for
ahead.
portions of what freedom should be. It's kind of like I want that. It's like you're given the whole pizza pie, and you're like, I just want the crust. The freedom is the
Yeah.
entire pizza, all of it, even the anchovies. I do like anchovies.
I do too.
Yeah, it's the wrong example. I like the crust too. Yeah.
I get you can only be no one if you like anchovies. One more thing that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to mention that came to me is what's interesting to me is teachers, like spiritual teachers, that they seem to have found something and they seem to be convinced.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of the-
I'll you know, I've done that. I was a spiritual teacher before, so this is just a story again, right? It's kind of like when you're sleeping at night, and then someone turns on the light, and then you open your eyes briefly, and you see the light, and then you forgot that you went back to sleep. So in the dream, you start telling people that I've seen the light, and this is how to attain it. So it's a glimpse of something that's just a dream. But they're
Yeah.
really, but since they think that they have awakened, no one really awakens, but their idea that I have awakened, that I have to awaken some people. So they're being earnest in what they're trying to do, but not really seeing that what they're doing is also dreaming.
I have a funny
Yeah.
time accepting that they're earnest, because there has to be some sort of a doubt.
Well, I was just speaking for myself when I was a spiritual teacher. I
Yeah.
don't know about others, right? Maybe they're not.
There
you know,
were no doubts.
no, when I encountered this message, I fell apart as a teacher because I realized
Yeah.
what I was saying was actually not true. You know, I was just basically bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? And when that
Yeah.
started eating me up, and I basically said, what's really the difference between this and partying and going to a bar?
Yeah.
Because there's this kind of like, you know, attainment that I thought that I got, that I had to maintain by being vegan, by doing, there's nothing wrong or right about that, by meditating 4 hours a day and then teaching it to others. And then when it's seen that it was all a facade, that this is all unreal, that this is actually, that nothing's really happening, it's just this creeping up, you know, this kind of like feeling, then I basically said that this is but yeah, so maybe some teachers have realized that it is a big farce, and they continue doing it.
But
Yeah, it's kinda
before
like-
you
it's kinda
encountered
like,
the
you know-
message, there was
Sorry, go
no
ahead.
doubts in your part.
When I first had that giant glimpse of oneness, you know what I'm saying, that dream that, you know, that I'm one with everything. Some people call it whatever. I you know what? I thought I had to maintain it. Because if you look at the lineages and everything, there's this, purity that you do. So I thought that I deserved it and I need to earn my keep. And I kept on being earnest in doing the practices of doing meditation. So when it was suggested that that this is already free, that there's nothing missing, there was this big sense of kind of like bitterness towards it, because I thought that I was investing in a spiritual bank that is worth more than Bitcoin. And then when you open up your spiritual bank, it's completely empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because exactly. And some teachers say when after at enlightenment is when the real work begins.
When sorry, repeat that again.
Some teachers say that when you get enlightened is when the real work begins.
Oh yeah,
because you have to maintain it.
Well, it's what in the dream, whatever begins also ends.
Yeah.
So in the dream, enlightenment apparently happens, or this blissfulness. I think I was hugging everyone on the street at that point because I had this blissful experience, and it's kind of like a drug. You maintain the high. And then you keep on doing it over and over again. I'm like, what if I meditate, trying to maintain this bliss? And but there's this high that seeing that everything is not separate, but making it into a, connecting it with teachings and an attainment and specialness, really.
Yeah. And once the sense of self collapses, when the sense of self apparently collapses, or seeing that it's not there, it would be utterly impossible to give advice to anybody about this.
Yeah. It's just seeing that since there's no one here, it's quite obvious. How can I give you something? Even if I want to give you something, there's nothing I can give because there's nothing.
Because you don't need anything.
You don't need anything. Whole. It's already complete. It's already fullness. It's whole and complete. And this is already liberation. It doesn't need the me or an I, because that seems to be the barrier, that seems to be the obstacle. Although there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's just what's appearing. There's an appearance that there's this felt sense of, someone walking on the street, waking up late in the morning, but really there's no one. It's just this sense, the dream seems so real because there's felt sense of realness that this is really happening to a me. But the me is the whole shebang. The me is the whole illusion. It's the whole dream. It's the entire, once it's seen that there's no primary. I'm just trying to make a story, trying to whole seemingly foundational is ripped off, then everything crumbles. Every single belief, every single idea about enlightenment, ideas of something that happened yesterday that will happen tomorrow. It's kind of like a sobriety, a sobering up from spiritual intoxication.
Drugs.
yeah, same thing.
Nice.
All right.
Nice. Let's leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis, I'm going to get to YouTube soon, guys. Sorry.
Since everything has fallen away for Emerson, there's no sense of Emerson left. Does Emerson ever, the separate sense of Emerson, does he ever return? Has he ever returned after
and
the
I've said this
dropping of the
before.
veil?
It's kind of like when it's seen that Santa is unreal. Does Santa ever return? In stories.
Well, no, not in the story.
Yeah.
But I have heard many people or several people say that they feel like that the veil's fallen away.
Yeah.
And and it's fallen away for a long time, and then the sense of separateness will reappear. Would you say that then that was just part of the dream? They just had a little gap in the dream.
Again, kind of like what I was saying earlier, right? That there's this kind of like a glimpse, kind of like you open your eyes in the dream and then you go back to sleep and you don't even know that you're still dreaming, but you're telling everybody that you're awake in the dream. It's still a dream that you're awake.
Was the awakeness that happened in the dream, was that part of the dream, or was it a gap in the dream where the veil fell away?
It's just seen that there's never been anyone dreaming. See, there's the difference, right? There's when there is a teaching happening. I woke up from a dream. I individually woke up from the dream, and I'm going to tell you now on how to wake up from the dream. So this one does not see any separateness. This is all. There's no one here and there's no one there. So there's nothing special here and there's nothing special there. And it's just being expressed that there's nothing special at all. That this is already aliveness. This is already awakeness. And that's already extraordinary, but it's also ordinary. So there's nothing to give you because there's nothing I can give you because there's no one here. There's no inquiry that I can give you because there's nothing to inquire about. There's no self to inquire about. All this.
There's no self likes to inquire, though.
No.
Okay, thank you, Emerson.
Thank you, Dennis. I'll get to you, Hatish, but I have a, hello, Emerson. Just want to say hi. This is Lai from last week. I need to go to bed now, so maybe I will stay a bit longer for the next one because I may somehow had a glimpse while I was lying on the grass. Oh, hi, Lai. Hitish, go ahead, please. Is it Hitish or Hitish?
Yes, Hitesh.
Hi, Hitish. How are you doing?
Hi, Emerson. Thank you.
Hi.
So, Emerson, my question is more related to Dennis' question that, sense of being someone coming back. So, my question is not related to spirituality or gaining satisfaction or anything like that. It's more related to, fundamental experience.
Okay.
Like, within the body, like, and it's more related to body mechanics or body training, I would say.
Okay.
That, let's say, I'm sitting here and while we are talking, and it's clearly seen that there is no one in the body. There is just seeing, hearing, and talking, and there is no problem anywhere. And it's there is no separation at all, right?
Isn't that amazing?
Say it's clearly, it's absolutely amazing. Like it can't be described, that. So I would definitely agree to it. But so how it's related to Dennis' question of it coming back is that while functioning, when the body is functioning, right?
Yeah, there's always going to be a felt sense of, solidity, right? There's always going to, it's not like I'm walking through walls or anything. There's this felt sense. Again, the illusion is so real that it's like this super IMAX 3D thing that everything is, but there's no one programming it. Everything is a felt sense. But what's seen is that can never be unseen is that no one is doing this. No one is inside doing this. There's no inside or outside, actually. So it's just the body moving. It's kind of like the mouth moving. Let's even take all those words away. It's just an appearance that you don't have any words for. But we tend to, words are it's like a dualistic way of separating things. So all that there is this with no separation. Ever. No separation has ever happened. It's complete.
So the misunderstanding on my side, I would say, or as a seeker's expectation, I would say, is that as you were saying, that somehow it seems that I'm still expecting it kind of a state where within my head that tension won't arise that I'm here.
Yeah, there seems sometimes, when there's a glimpse, there is, the glimpse is the worst thing that can happen because there's a seeing that nothing's happening. But it's waiting sometimes when the glimpse, kind of like when the me comes back and claims ownership of the glimpse, that I had a glimpse. No one ever had a glimpse. Let me just make that clear. No one had ever had a glimpse. The glimpse is the me. No one ever had a glimpse. So the story is that I had a glimpse and I was feeling this, not separate. But there seems to be an experience that I want something more. Basically, what it's doing is that it's seeing separateness now because there's no difference from the glimpse in this. There's no time. The me made the time real and made a comparison of it. Comparison is like the thief of joy, right? So it's comparing this or that. Again, you personalized what was seen into something that is more ideal for the me, rather than seeing that there's no one here to have any kind of choosing to see if this is preferred or not preferred. It's just what's happening. So there's already liberation. It's already complete.
Yeah. Because what seems to be happening here is some kind of noticing is going on, that during the day while functioning, it seems that, there is me in the head, that I'm doing this. So there is some attempt to get rid of that feeling that,
Yeah, that's, you know what, the me in the head or that feeling that there's someone there is also complete. It's kind of like, what am I going to have for dinner? That still arises. What am I going to do? That still arises, but it's not happening. There's no one. It's complete. It's complete. There's no separation. It's not trying to get rid of something that's appearing, because there's also this seeing that everything is appearing and disappearing, but it's not happening to anyone. And it doesn't make sense, because it seems like it's happening to a me, because there's this seeming, there's no one doing, and there's no choice to do this or not. But there seems to be like, how come there's still a me? There's still kind of like a narrative happening. But there's never been a me. Even the how come there's still a me is a part of this wholeness. It's also complete. There's nothing wrong or right about that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Thanks, Emerson.
But give me a call. Give me a call if you have more questions, Satish.
Sure. Thanks.
Joey.
Would you say that the glimpse is different than so-called liberation?
The glimpse is seeing kind of like, seeing that there's no one briefly, but the moment that that's seen, that's why there's this relaxation, right? Like, oh, wow. And then seeing kind of like, bright colors and stunning, and some people would, say that, oh my goodness, I was so relaxed, I could not. Because that contracted energy of that I am real is seen as unreal. It's just seen as this boundless energy. So contracted energy is seen as boundless energy. But the moment that there's the me sees that it sees its own absence, it comes back sometimes really, really strong, and then wants to have that experience again.
Yeah.
Although it's seeing that its absence is liberation or freedom, it wants it for the me that's not really there. So it's making the seeing into the I am seeing this. I need this. The I is inserted. The I am experiencing this. I experienced a glimpse and I want that again.
Yeah. The reason why I'm asking is because it seems to be that in the glimpse that there's still a rejection of this something that comes back.
Yeah, again, the
like
glimpse
then it's not
is
good
probably
enough.
Yeah, the glimpse is the worst thing that can happen sometimes, because there's this comparison now. There's this kind of like, there's this comparison now, and there's this narrative about the glimpse. It becomes kind of like this big kind of like big event, but there are no events. All of this is already free. So you basically put a marker on something that didn't really exist, that didn't really happen, and made it into a significant event. So all the feelings around that kind of like, I have to get that back again, and like, well, you know what? I still had a sense of me, and all these stories added to something that is wordless, basically. That is just unconditional love.
Yeah, it's like, it seems like the glimpse is like almost too rosy.
Yeah, because it's
you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, totally. Well, I had, when before the apparent dropping away of the Emerson that never was there, I had a giant glimpse, and I became a spiritual teacher, because it was very rosy. I ended up hugging everybody. I saw like oneness and everything, and all this kind of stuff. And but since I was practicing, meditation, all kind of stuff, I made it into something that it was not.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to get there again. So there's this, I'm like, I'm just going to be silent. I'm just going to sit, for 2 to 3 hours a day. There's nothing wrong or right about that. That floats your boat, right? But I was trying to, I think, trying to bottle up freedom so that I can drink it.
Yeah.
But freedom is already the ocean. You can't bottle the ocean. You know what I'm saying? It's already everything. I should not use the word ocean, but everything, including the bitter taste of not feeling this freedom is also freedom.
Yeah.
Because it's not contingent on you of what freedom is. It's already exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
All right. I'm going to do a couple more questions. We went over time a little bit. Question here. It is said from Nikki. Hi, Nikki. It is said that karma, chakras, reincarnation, etc. doesn't exist. How do you explain information received from archangels, ascended masters, source, Pleiadians, etc.? It's just an expression. All of this is just an appearance. So everything that seems to appear in a dream is also a dream. There's no chakras or anything because this is just this. It's complicating something that's quite simple. It's putting categories into what freedom or liberation is or what unlimited freedom is. There's no karma because there's no past. If you read a little bit more about science, I think, you know what, it's seen, it has been exposed that there's never been a self. There's never been a time. There's no consciousness. And there's no free will. I can't remember the book. I'm not really into it anymore because it's just another story telling another story. But it's been in neuroscience, in some sciences, they have seen that there's nothing happening. I don't really know about angels or ascended masters. I did kind of like attend an ascended masters kind of like talk, maybe because when I was seeking. So there's this belief that there is ascended people. It's the reinforcement that I am special. There's nothing special. The seeing is that there's never been anyone here. That everything is already perfect. No need for angels or imaginary beings like ascended masters. It's just an experience. And the experiencer is not real. And then we're just going to express again that it's already fully and completely free. There's nothing missing. No need to align your chakras. No need to channel anything because it's already here. It's full and complete already. It's already freedom. Couple more questions. Oh, wow. Okay. Somebody said the ego loves experiences. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with anything at all. See that the wrong and the right is seemingly the obstacle to what seems to be expressed here. That this is already whole freedom. This is already unconditional freedom. This is unconditional love. This is already home. And the wrong or right, this is this and this is not. This is wrong. This is bad. This is evil. This is good. Is categorizing something that cannot be categorized or trying to limit something that's completely unlimited. Freedom is unlimited. It's unconditional. It's not appearing just for one ascended master and not the rest of the apparent other people. There are no masters. There are no seekers. They're just characters in a play called this. No one wrote the play. It's just appearing as this, full and completely overwhelming, overflowing, unconditional love. I went over the time again. Thank you so much, everyone. If you guys don't know yet, I'm doing a completely free retreat at the end of March if you want to join it. I just really like sharing this. I just like having fun, and I've done retreats before, and it's quite fun doing it in an extended. It's going to be 2 days, And if you want to sign up, the email is emerson@nonduality.live. Thank you so much, everyone. You can unmute now, and thank you so much.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Emerson.
Thank you, Emerson, for
Thanks,
your
Emerson.
generosity.
Thank you.
Oh,
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Emerson.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's going to be
Yay.
a breakout
Thanks,
room.
Emerson.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
forgot to record this. Oh well.
Oh, you did. Okay.